This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, this one will blow your mind!
Hello everyone, welcome to Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi review and critique show that may be taking over the very underpinnings of moral and modern society. Yeah. Fun like that. My name is Gepwin, and I am joined, as always, by my friend and co-host, Dr. Izix.
Hi!
And we are so close. This is like so close to the end of season 1, which everyone agrees is the not good season.
Yes.
The last couple episodes aren't bad, so we're getting there. And then the first couple episodes of the next season aren't that great, so, you know.
Yeah, trade-offs, you know. They had to warm up to get to these last trailing episodes of the season, and the next season, well, with everyone kind of, changing out and fired writers and replacements and all that, they had to get started up again. So,
Yeah. But we're almost done. This is one of the weird, slightly two-part episodes that they haven't really done before or since. They set up this episode way back, like 6 or so episodes ago, in Coming of Age.
Yes, that one people barely remember, but remember elements from.
Well, people tend to remember Wesley taking the test part, and people tend to remember the setup for this.
Yes.
It's very difficult to remember that those are the same episode because they have nothing at all to do with each other.
So you could say, it had a half an episode prequel to this one.
So this is the episode entitled Conspiracy.
Gepwin, are they out to get us?
Yes, they are out to get us.
Hooray! We're wanted.
This was written by Robert Savarov. I'm going to have trouble with that last name.
Savarov.
Savarov or Savorov. If it's Russian, it might be Savorov. I'm not sure. I should listen to interviews or something before we do these.
Or we could radically mispronounce it and have it be Sevaroth. Dun, 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 dun.
I've only just started playing through Final Fantasy VII Remake, so it works.
Excellent.
Anyway, we've talked about him a lot before because he's wrote Immunity Syndrome and Home Soil. So quite a few things that we've gotten through. Well-known Star Trek dude.
Yes. Some of the I guess inspiration from this actually came from Roddenberry. Then Robert Deere wrote up a whole script, and then Tracy Torme was like, you know what, this is too expensive. I'm going to rewrite some of it. So
Yeah, this thing had some troubled production, and it was controversial because explosions.
Yes.
I was traumatized by this episode as a child, I remember. So
it's perhaps noted as being perhaps one of the more gory episodes of Star Trek kind of ever. Like, even counting, Discovery era stuff here. So
yeah.
Which doesn't tend to hold back very much. So,
all right, I'm going to try to run through the guest stars because we've got a few more than normal. It's a pretty guest star heavy episode, actually. And we're not even going to name everyone, so don't bother me about it.
Yes.
No one does, but, one day someone will, you forgot who did it. In
which case we can reply, I don't care.
Yeah. Anyway, Ward Castillo and Robert Schinken are back playing Gregory Quinn and Dexter Rimmick. They were both in Coming of Age to set this whole thing up, so they're reprising those roles.
Yes. And they were worried about a conspiracy in the Federation last time, so this is the payoff, and they're obviously going to be allies in this, right?
Yeah, they set up that he's looking into this stuff, and then he's going to recruit Picard to fight it with him, and it'll be great. So Henry Drow plays Savar, the Vulcan dude. You can tell he is best known for playing some name that I can't pronounce in the High Chapel, which I don't know as a show. And he played Don De La Vega in 1990's Zorro, which I haven't seen. There's so many Zorros that I hadn't heard of.
Indeed.
It's interesting.
He's also in 2 episodes of Star Trek Voyager, where he plays Chakotay's dad.
Yes.
Yes.
So he gets around.
Yes. And one of them is unfortunately episode Tattoo.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah. He was also in an episode of Babylon 5 as a doctor guy.
So we have also Ray Reinhardt playing Aaron. I can't find a lot on this guy. He's been around a little bit, but he'll definitely go on to play a feather-headed professor in Star Trek Voyager.
Tolan Wren in like the first few episodes of the series. His last name. I remember him. But... Yeah. His last name's Wren. You know, birds, wrens. You know.
Ha ha.
Ha 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 ha.
And Jonathan Falwell plays Walker Keel. He's best known for being on The Young and the Restless. He's also appeared in several movies and other TV shows. That is better known for his stage work, which we don't talk about because that's not TV.
But if you want to put on a stage play explaining everyone's stage work, have at it, actually. I'd actually kind of like to see that.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yes. There is also Michael Berryman. I only really wanted to note him because he's a very recognizable actor. Kind of the whole bald and kind of, mean-looking sort of face going on here. He's often depicted at, plays characters that are like going to be intimidating and things like that. I think he was one of the bikers in Weird Science, for instance.
Yeah, he's got a very recognizable face.
Yes, and he's been in basically everything, so,
Now that I'm looking at the picture of him, you can even see it through the makeup he was in this show.
Yeah.
He's got such a recognizable face that you can recognize him as a weird little lizard dude.
He was in Motley Crue Home Sweet Home as the man with phone.
Ooh, man with phone. The famous and most beloved role. Man with phone.
He was also in The Hills Have Eyes, but the one from the 70s.
As Man with Eyes.
Also in Necrosis. This seems topical for this episode, I think.
Yeah. Weird horror movies.
Yes. But yeah, in this one he played Captain Ricks as I think the first Bolian that shows up in Star Trek, so hooray.
Yeah.
Apparently he liked his makeup, and so he took it home with him.
I didn't know they let you do that.
Well, if you're like, yeah, you're done for today. Oh, I'm just going to go home.
Of course, I don't think you're supposed to. I've heard so many stories of people who just walked home with jackets, and then the costume department's like, hey, where's that jacket? It's like, oh, I don't know.
Oh,
you don't have it.
Oh, what do you mean we have reshoots now? What?
All right. That's everybody. We'll see. This plot may or may not be complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Conspiracies. There's layers. There's layers on layers and conspiracies.
Mm-hmm. So what's our first layer?
So the Enterprise is on way to shore leave. Again.
We're going to get to shore leave one of these days, guys. Promise.
These people cannot catch a break.
It's like we're going to another beach planet. That means we're going to be faced with a massive dilemma. Someone's going to get married, or we're all going to die, right? Probably.
Yeah. So they're going to the Ocean Beach Planet, which I guess is just a planet filled with a bunch of like sandy atolls or something. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of cool. Though if it's like sandy atolls, like every 50 feet there's another one, that could be a little weird. Then it's just more like the damp planet.
Yeah, I don't see how else you get a sandy beach planet. But they're all joking around. They're looking forward to moonlight skinny dipping and such, and confusing Data by being horny for the beach. Mm-hmm. It's great. So that they are interrupted.
And Worf is like, I don't like swimming. It's like bathing.
Yeah, they're mean to Worf on that kind of thing. So they're interrupted by an emergency transmission, a code 47 Captain Eyes only. Picard's woken up to see the message in his quarters. It's his old friend Walter Keel. Captain Keel is using the transmission to call Picard to a secret off-the-books meeting on a nearby abandoned mining planet to discuss something wrong with the Federation.
I guess we better haul and over to meet Keel. Some keel hauling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
That's not horrifying. Picard does take the invitation and orders the ship to Ditlax B, answering no questions, making no logs. That's it. He arrives, he finds 3 other Federation ships, and all the captains have beamed down alone to this little open mine pit thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have cave set. We can just, dress it up a little bit. Now it's a mine shaft, so.
It's appropriately creepy. I do like it.
Yes.
He beams down and has all the captains point phasers at him.
This is Picard beaming down to a planet alone. This is pretty standard fare, actually.
Yep. Keel questions Picard about all their old times together with trick questions and stuff like, oh, my sister. So you don't have a sister. What is this? Shut up.
And if I recall, the Bowery match was pretty spicy, if you know what I mean.
When they are all satisfied that Picard is indeed Picard, Keel tells them that things are wrong. Weird orders, strange behavior, people bluffing through conversations about their past, like everyone has no memory.
Well, that's a little weird. Is there some sort of virus that's affecting people's memories?
Maybe. Even Keel's own first officer is behaving weird.
Well, you better watch.
Memory virus.
Yeah, you better watch out for that, because if he forgets like how not to use the self-destruct, that could be a problem.
Yeah, these ships seem to blow up as a matter of course.
Yeah.
Picard doesn't know what to make of this. There's no evidence. There's vague feelings, but they tell him to just keep his eyes open and watch his back, because these few captains who are all hanging around on the outskirts are the only ones who've noticed this stuff.
They are, I guess, in well positioned to see the bigger picture, while everyone else is too into the weeds, man. You can't see what's really going on.
So Picard shares his revelation with Troy, who has some concerns about how these captains are asking him to disobey regulations. But Picard and Keel were inseparable way back when, and he knows that he wouldn't make requests like this if he didn't have an actually good reason. So he asks Data to go over Starfleet's orders and see if he can find any patterns that normal people wouldn't.
Yeah, Data, you're immune to all viruses except that one, so you have at it.
So with nothing else to do, they set course for Pacifica again, but no sooner do they head off than they detect a disturbance nearby and go to find debris that is consistent with the makeup and volume of the remains of Keel's ship.
Dun dun dun! Well, I guess that first officer did forget how not to use the self-destruct button.
Yeah. So with this new evidence, Picard feels like he should probably share his suspicions with Riker as well. They are both very suspicious, but lack proof until Data comes in and goes like, hey, look, here's a bunch of subtle ship orders that have weakened our defenses.
Yeah, and we've been setting up, lots of, interesting people in strategic locations so that, say, if someone wanted to seize power quickly of the Federation without, any questions, well, this is kind of how you do it.
So with evidence mounting, Picard decides to return to Earth, which is interesting also because, they have this emergency situation. We don't know, how long things are going to take. There seems to be an imminent takeover, etc., etc. They are constantly described as being on, the farthest flung edges of explored space. That's their whole thing.
Yes.
And now they're just going back to the center of the Federation for a day trip.
Yeah, well, I guess we could sort of maybe splice in, a few weeks of time between here and there or something like that. But, I guess also they're somewhere near the Romulan border generally, so that's also a couple days away half the time, so.
Yeah. So they are contacted by several admirals. We got Savar, Aaron, and Quinn, who we remember from before. They want to know why the Enterprise is back at Earth without orders.
Well, we just wanted to drop by, because Pacifica, it sucked, and we wanted to go to a real beach. Yeah. Are they buying it? No. Oh, crap.
So they invite Picard and Riker to dine with the admirals, except for Quinn, who wants to beam up there alone because reasons. We remember he was very suspicious of Starfleet conspiracy before, so maybe he's coming up to talk to someone or acting weird because he has his own suspicions, same as the captains.
Yeah, and maybe this is an opportunity for Quinn to talk to Picard and Riker before they beam down, and it's here's who's in on the conspiracy, and this is what we're trying to do, and don't let them inject the needle into your arm or something like that.
Yeah, needles.
Yeah,
standard practice. Just walk up and like, take this needle. I'm like, yes, sir.
Because that's how they spread the mind erasing virus.
So when Quinn's preparing to go up to the ship, Remick comes in. Now we have the old pair back, and gives him a briefcase with a weird bug thing in it.
Yeah, it looks sort of like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Kind of bluish, purplish, pinkish, sort of here and there,
So Picard tries to talk to Quinn a bit about the threats he mentioned before, but he's like, oh, I didn't really mean threats. How silly. I meant I'm old.
Yeah, and I'm scared of new systems entering the Federation. So yeah, don't worry about it. I just don't talk good.
So they show him to his quarters. As soon as he's out of earshot, Picard tells Riker that Quinn is acting weird and suspicious, not like he used to, so keep an eye on him. Find an excuse to have the doctor examine him.
Yeah, he just mentioned that he's an old fellow, and he might be feeling great, but you never know. You know, just a little push down the hallway. You could do this, Sir Riker.
Picard beams down to find the admirals and Remick very creepily waiting for him.
You know, this place seems a little deserted, and I guess you want me to drink some tea here. This isn't poison, right? All right, you're drinking it, but that could mean anything.
So, back on the ship, Riker finds Quinn in his quarters to question about stuff. He's like, hey, what's in that briefcase? And Quinn says, oh, we found a superior form of life, and then suddenly just attacks him, jumps Riker. Well, he's really, really strong for an old guy.
Yes, he's apparently been taking his vitamins and eating Wonder Bread or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. He takes out Riker. Then he takes out Geordi and Worf, who respond to Riker's distress call. And then he's busy throwing Geordi through a door when Crusher arrives and shoots him.
It's like, well, I guess I didn't think about, the fact that people have phases of the future. I can't, punch everyone out on the ship.
Yeah, hard to punch a phaser.
Yeah. So maybe we could try.
So they take Quinn to sickbay now that he's knocked out. His scans match the files, so it's definitely the same dude. But they do find a strange thing sticking out of his neck.
Well, that's a little odd. Did he get, some sort of cyst back there?
Yeah, a little wiggly tube cyst.
Yeah, there seems to be a breathing apparatus for maybe something inside his head.
So back on Earth, they're going to start dinner. Picard contacts the ship and is told that they found Quinn has been taken over by a parasite that has complete control of the host body and breathes through the little protrusion-y tube thing. So look out for that.
Wait, so it might not be a memory-erasing virus, but a puppet master situation?
Yep, it's body snatching.
Yeah, great. Well, at least we're not dealing with clone duplicates this time.
Yeah. So Picard is forced to go into dinner while Riker surprises Crusher in sickbay. Dun-dun.
Ta-dum.
We got a jump scare from Riker.
Yeah, well, Riker had been knocked out during the fight, and Quinn had been
bug.
Yeah, and had been hovering over him for a little bit before Geordi and Worf came in. So you don't know what could have happened between those moments there.
So Picard goes into dinner, opens up his meal, and finds worms.
It's grubs, like beetle grubs, actually.
Yeah, they're mealworms.
Yeah.
People eat these. It's very common in Thai cuisine, in fact. Calm down.
Yes. But, Picard, being French is going to be like, this isn't escargot. What is this, guys? Come on.
Picard tries to leave, but he's blocked by Riker, who enters the room and forces him back into his chair.
Oh, no. Riker's being a bully. Wait.
Yeah. They inspect Riker and find a neck tube.
Well, he must be one of the parasite guys then.
They go, you weren't meant for Riker. He says, well, it couldn't be helped.
Yeah, he walked in on Quinn, and then, other things started happening, and then suddenly I'm all parasited,
And also they're joined by one of the captains from the mines.
Don't know.
So whatever these things were, they knew what was going on from the beginning.
Captain Scott!
Yeah, we loved him.
Her in this case.
Riker prepares to eat his worms, and then immediately starts shooting before he has to eat worms.
Well, I guess that's one way to start up a dinner conversation.
He saves Picard from being implanted. They take out the host body, and the parasite crawls out of their mouth, so they follow it under a door, where they find Remick, who also eats the parasite. Remick's just sitting in a chair, being menacing.
Yes, he has a cool galaxy map behind him, though. One that will actually show up numerous times in Star Trek, and even in one episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures.
Once you make a big map.
Yeah. Like, this is pretty cool. So I got the galaxy sort of thing going on and various sectors and kind of noted, star systems and stuff.
So Remick says that they don't mean humanity any harm. They just want to coexist. It's great, right? We just want peaceful coexistence.
By
Picard and Riker respond by popping his head like a balloon.
Well, I guess that's one way to answer, pleas for coexistence.
they keep shooting until his chest cavity explodes, and there's some sort of snaky creature thing in there. And they blast that too, vaporizing the whole thing into a giant smoking corpse.
Yes. Now, what if the thing inside Remick was actually unrelated to all the the parasite dudes there, and they just liked hanging out together?
Yeah, that could have been interesting. It's like, no, I'm a different kind of parasite that's trying to protect you from the other parasite.
Yeah, I attract them here once they leave their host bodies and eat them. It's great. But yeah, apparently though, when this guy goes kaboom, all the other parasites, the bluegills as they're often called because they're little blue thing out your back of your neck, they just kind of become inactive or die or something.
Yeah, they're all psychically connected to the Queen or something. So now they stopped. Quinn's going to be fine. They exploded Remick, so he's not. But everyone else is going to be okay.
Yeah, well, maybe not the people they, set to kill on the phasers. Maybe they're dead. Just,
Yeah.
Quinn, because he was, knocked out by Crusher specifically.
But before they took him out, Remick was sending a message, some sort of homing beacon aimed at an unexplored part of the galaxy.
Oh, no! That means we're going to have to face these guys again?
Yeah, maybe. This is the only plot line I will accept for Picard 3.
The Bluegills, they're back, and they're taking over the Federation, and they're summoning up a bunch of Picard and company's rogues galleries to help them do it because, taking over admirals didn't work last time, and, with, Admiral Aaron and Admiral Savar dead, that meant that Admiral Nechayev got promotion from captain, and that just caused all sorts of other problems down the road.
Yeah, we just have a Spider-Man plot line where they bring back all of his old villains.
And the ones that can be infected are infected. The other ones are just sort of there and hanging out and want revenge anyway. So, So, conspiracy.
Right. Yeah, that's conspiracy. But
yes.
So this is interesting because timeline-wise, this episode came out in 1988. One of the last episodes to come out in that time period because of the season crossover and stuff. There's a few more because seasons don't match up to years, but
yes,
this is one of the later episodes in 1988, which is the last year of the Cold War.
Yes. So we got a story about everyone around you might not be trustworthy. They might be working for an unknown enemy, plotting against us, tearing us apart from the inside, and it's all going to be going back to the Reds, the Soviet Union over there. Wait, the Soviet Union started to collapse? Never mind. What do you mean, unification of Germany?
This is completely the most Red Scary Cold War era plot line that we get out of Next Generation ever.
Yeah, the whole Red Scare / spies everywhere thing is kind of a running trope that was really big during the Cold War because you could always sort of point to the global political dynamics and it's like, yeah, this is obviously an allegory for this. So
yeah, you had a lot of sleeper agent fears, hidden spies, like maybe your neighbors aren't your real neighbors, you're being taken over by communist propaganda, etc., etc. It's a very McCarthyist sort of thing. Because this and this is a very Invasion of the Body Snatchers style plot, which is kind of the pinnacle Cold War era movie. Which is an interesting one because it's always pointed at as kind of a there were spies everywhere. Both countries were spying on each other. You never knew who you could trust, etc., etc. But in this kind of plot line, when someone's being taken over, it's a lot more akin to indoctrination.
Yes.
So it's very much this McCarthy era worry of the communists are spreading their stuff to everyone, and you never know when an American is going to turn red on you.
Yeah, your neighbors, they were your neighbors. They are your neighbors still, but they're not the neighbors you knew. They've been converted secretly by, their other friends that they don't talk to you about because you're not ready, because those friends are socialists.
Yeah. You even get the sort of, communist mono mind thing that they love doing with this sort of stuff. Because the queen can apparently psychically connect all things. They don't really explain it very well in here. It's mostly so they can take out one bad guy and take out the entire thing without a problem.
Yes. You don't have to worry about, it's like, oh, they might be a little confused for direction, but they're still trying to do the thing, and we have to go on a long adventure trying to stamp it out, and, all that sort of stuff. Instead, we could just kind of blow this one up, and then, we reset the universe again.
And it is kind of it's interesting because they show you this thing as a fundamental threat. It's coming in, taking over people. It shows they're willing to blow up a ship with a lot of people on it. So they demonstrate them as inherently threatening. But this is one of the only times, especially in Next Generation, when they encounter a new species that is just unequivocally evil. They don't even try talking to them at all at any point. They just immediately start the killing.
Yes. Even with the Borg, it's like, can we communicate with them maybe? And, Guinan's like, not really, but we're going to try anyway, I guess.
And then, of course, they set up this thing that's never used again. Yeah.
Well, as you said, the Cold War came to an end, so I guess the bluegill parasites Union of Soviet Socialist Republics collapsed, and, it was just so far away that nobody noticed.
Yeah, the bug thingy is just gone. They tore down the space wall, etc.
I guess to a degree, though, that it does open up possibilities, down the road. Because what if the species has taken over other entire, empires, federations, etc. down the road? If we do eventually run into them, be it Picard season 3 or something else. That might be an interesting sort of dynamic. It's like your entire species has been hijacked, and, your leadership is run by these weird bug things that tried to do this to us once, and the locals are like, you're crazy. What's going on?
Apparently, sorry, I'm just skimming through explanations here. Apparently these things were given a lot of very stupid plot later in other media.
Yeah, you mean the books and things like that?
Yeah. It's fine. They are genetically engineered trill symbiotes.
What?
Yes, they're genetically engineered trill symbiotes made by the Solansi, who are those clicky bug aliens from the one creepy episode. For use by something that seems to be exclusive to Star Trek Online, as far as I can tell.
So in other words, all of that...
Oh, Iconians. So the Iconians show up in Star Trek Online again? That's weird.
I thought they were all dead. What's going on?
I thought so too. Star Trek Online's done some weird stuff.
Well, I think they have a time machine in universe, so I guess they can just kind of mess with everything.
Also, I hate their design.
I'm just going to ignore all that dubious canon over there and just keep to what we actually show on the show here. Because having them be a mystery species that is from well beyond Federation space, that might be plotting to take over at some point down the road when they're in a better position, that seems more interesting to me, honestly. So. And keeps things open instead of, rehashing stuff and elements we already have.
This is one of the problems with long-running things like this, of how they have to feel like they have to keep explaining everything.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes leaving some mystery is fine, guys. I do that in some of my writing. It's like, all right, so, you can... I bring up, plot threads A, B, C, and D, and B and D don't ever actually go anywhere because they're more... for building the universe, to giving you verisimilitude, and not necessarily things that are relevant to the main plot. But A and C, well, those are the ones that are important, and so the main character, interested in those, is going to follow them.
I feel like we've talked about Cold War stuff a dozen or more times because of original series.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much else we've got to add on the Cold War aspect of this whole thing.
Well, I guess... it might be an opportunity for you and me to talk a little bit about our experiences during the Cold War.
I have a exceptionally vague memory of a TV show I was watching being interrupted by a speech my mom said was important about the fall of the Soviet Union.
Oh, yes. And, what do you remember from this speech?
That a TV show I was watching was interrupted because I think I was 3.
Yeah. I think I'm a little older than you, so I remember such things a little bit more concretely, I suppose. The Berlin Wall's stuff was it's like, wait, I always heard about this wall thing. You mean people could just tear it down? What? That's allowed? Oh, well, cool for them, because it seemed like this causing a lot of problems. And then, not so long later, it's like, the Soviet Union starts falling apart, and, various republics are, declaring independence. And like, oh, cool. I get to update my maps because, I'm into cartography and stuff like that. So, it's sort of a very selfish and, kids sort of response to this. But, in retrospect, the breaking up of the Soviet Union was, kind of a necessary thing in order to, I guess, move us forward as a global civilization. Not, because, the Soviet Union specifically was, the worst ever, though it had a lot of problems. It was sort of these various republics have been under a dictatorial stranglehold for so long that getting their independence will allow them to have a fresh start. And hypothetically, the same could have happened to Russia, but they've gotten their strongman back. But anyway, so getting rid of dictatorships overall is a good thing, I have to say. So not everyone that had the opportunity did, but a good many of them did. So hooray! Now I'm thinking about Turkmenistan.
I think since this whole plot line doesn't really involve another government. It doesn't really involve an entity that we've ever heard of. This isn't, the Romulans or the Ferengi, who would have been the big bad of this season, infiltrating the Federation. This functions in an interesting way where you're obviously meant to draw Cold War parallels, but it reminds me a little bit more of kind of the political allegory of things like... did you ever see the play Rhinoceros?
Can't say I have.
So the idea of that is it's a small town. I forget if they specify where, but it's a small town, and somebody sees a rhinoceros running around. And everyone gets into these weird things of like, it probably couldn't have been, that would be insane. The rhinoceroses don't live here. Also, they can do a whole discussion every time about what kind of rhinoceros it is and all the differences between different species of rhinoceros. And then people keep on seeing more and more and more rhinoceri running about. And eventually it turns out that people are in fact turning into rhinoceri. And the entire thing is completely kind of ignored until like the last character left is watching like their partner transform right in front of her. And the entire thing is in fact written as an allegory for sort of the slow fascist takeover of a small community during the early days of Nazism. And how people just sort of ignore it and do this whole, well, it couldn't happen here. You probably didn't see what you thought you saw. How do you know that this person is this sort of terrifying, like, all these people that you've known for years are suddenly becoming something insanely different, but also everyone's treating you like you're crazy for noticing.
Indeed. And are you sure it's, actual fascism and, not just, a light sprinkling of authoritarianism with this other sort of aspect, grouped in there? Because, these are totally different, and you should be way more worried about one, but if it's the other, it's maybe not so bad. What?
Yeah.
What? Are you serious?
So this kind of reminds me of that, like, especially now, I'm probably bringing some modern stuff into it, but that's what you do with media critique. It reminds me of that, like, finding out everything's not fine, and then finding out how a lot of people that you knew are involved in things being not fine. And a lot of people who are in charge that you're supposed to trust with stuff are also involved in things being not fine. And it's not exactly a conspiracy, It's just a lot of people are ignoring what's happening.
Yes. You to the point where, you start doubting yourself because people are either, gaslighting you or are pretending like, whatever's going on is totally normal. And why are you not in on it too?
Or just convincing each other of things. Like there's some of that in the early parts of this. Like, this guy came to me with a suspicion that something's not going well, but I've also known these other people for a long time and trusted them. How do I know whether, like, if these people are doing something bad, I need some actual evidence more so than someone saying they are doing something bad.
Yeah, if I want to have something actionable, I need proof, and I'm going to follow the rules and go through the channels that are appropriate to sort of solve things like this.
And they do, to some degree. They don't do it a lot because this episode's very rushed for how much it's trying to do.
Mm-hmm. They really need this like a third part.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of just basic trust in the systems that you follow and believe in and live inside work fine and are there to benefit you. And so if something is wrong with that, something's wrong with your basic belief of the world, that all of these things are working fine and are here to benefit you. So even if it becomes somewhat obvious that that's not the case, you're very invested in the idea that it's actually all okay. Maybe you need a few small tweaks. Maybe you need to get rid of the queen alien. But really everything's going to be fine once that happens.
Yeah. So, just a little bit of, polishing of things here. It's going to be a good enough. And any systematic problems that are, being exposed here, no, that's not systematic problems. That's just a result of, our queen alien having a bad day.
Yeah. Which I think, while it's interesting that a lot of these Cold War era storylines, the invasions of the body snatchers style stuff, the you can't trust your neighbors style things, are in fact light American fascistic propaganda to demonize others in a somewhat xenophobic way and get you to mistrust your fellow citizens for having alternate political beliefs to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They also very interestingly function as good, like, queer allegories of suddenly finding out everyone in your community has actually been against you this entire time. You just didn't know it. I think there's just this innate fear that you can have from any marginalized or minority community where everything's fine as long as no one knows, and then as soon as someone knows, everyone can suddenly turn against you, and people that you knew and trusted for years are suddenly spouting ideologies that are directly threatening to you as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a very good, there's queer readings of this stuff that you can get into, which I find very interesting, given that the original intention is decidedly authoritarian.
Yes. Trust your instincts and watch out for those trying to undermine your society, or suddenly people are coming out as gay. Well, do I panic? No, you shouldn't. But in the context of the story, we're panicking.
Well, I think you could read it both directions. Like, you could have, this is the one straight person who sees like gayness all around them and are suddenly threatened by it. You could also have it the other direction of someone who figures out that they are gay or queer in some capacity, now discovers that this community that they lived in is suddenly not friendly to them anymore.
Indeed. So you get a sort of two allegories for the price of one, potentially, here. And
several, really.
Really, all kinds of
this plays off a very
put together.
This plays off a very basic human fear. Because humans are incredibly social animals. It's our entire thing. That and sweating, but that's not as interesting.
I've been sweating a bit. It's gotten warm again after the cold snaps.
I know, it's insane. So, as incredibly social animals that are very, very interdependent on each other, the idea of everyone in your community suddenly ostracizing you is immensely scary.
Indeed. Suddenly you're on the outs, and can you trust folks around you to respect your person, your safety? if you need to ask them for help, are they going to offer it, or are they going to try to make things worse now?
Yeah, you need to be able to trust the other members of your community because you depend on them for very, very basic survival.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can't, that is literally threatening to your life. It is an incredibly basic fear for human beings that is used pretty effectively in a lot of these storylines.
And oddly enough, a lot of major religions have gotten their start by forming communities that are, we're going to band together, and we're going to, sort of exclusively, have a good working relationship with each other because of our shared belief, and we can sort of, be us against the world to a certain degree. And, if others want to join into this cool stuff, this club here, albeit, you just have to, sign up for the faith of choice here.
Yeah. And there's nothing inherently wrong with community membership on that kind of thing. It's the weird xenophobic exclusion that you have to watch out for.
Yeah, but I guess my point is, it's a aspect of human nature that can, be used to divide us, to get us to take action against each other, bring us together, get us on board with some plan or some idea. And, it's something that, I guess we need to be, aware of when we're interacting with the world around us, to find the communities that are going to work for us, but not let them, get co-opted by those who are going to try to, damage us or, abuse that sort of community in that relationship.
Well, there's an interesting thing there too, because especially when you're dealing with something like this, it's not a conspiracy, it's a takeover, but it's framed as a conspiracy to start with. Well,
they're conspiring against the Federation, people who are not parasited, I guess, but they're just gonna take them over as the result of that conspiracy.
A lot of this in-group, out-group, tribalism-y, whatever divided stuff everyone's on about now, most of that stems from just a very core things not being very good right now.
Mm-hmm.
As do all this kind of conspiracy things and stuff like this, because people aren't exactly wrong. Even the person who you disagree with politically and ideologically the complete most, the person who is the most against everything that you believe in, they're not exactly wrong. Something is going badly. Like, stuff is not working well.
Mm-hmm.
They are usually pretty mistaken in some of the mechanics of why and the ways to address it, but the core thing, something's going bad, that's true.
Indeed. And I guess this gets to another thing that I've learned about early communities of various religions is that often there's a reformer figure who stands up and says, let's fix the thing that's bad, and that bad thing is whatever is whatever they have to sort of, make the sell with, which varies from faith to faith, and other movements as well. I don't know why I'm thinking about this so much today, but I am.
Well, you can look at that. Like, you have all these conspiracy things running around rampant now. Like, we talk about in the news all the time how many weird conspiracies there are, and they're all intersecting and contradicting each other and melding together in weird ways. But, like, let's just take something simple, like the anti-vax movement. The idea that doctors have a monetary incentive to give you poison because it's going to make you sicker, do all this other stuff. It's like, that's stemming from a basic mistrust of medical institutions, which are fundamentally broken in America.
Yeah.
Their profit-driven incentives are causing medical problems that are, in fact, hurting people.
Yeah,
that's true. They have the right end of the stick.
But how they want to sort of fix that, involves a extension of that belief into, how have they interpreted the wrongness that is out there? How does that collate, compress down to a singular idea?
You get into a problem, and you can see this happening. It's like, something's wrong. People can't particularly articulate it well because we spend a lot of time and energy in modern society telling people everything's fine and works perfectly. So you can't really articulate what's wrong particularly well. But the first person who comes to you and says, I also think things aren't wrong, I also think things are going bad, here is why I think things are going bad. You're going to trust that person because that's the first person that's agreed with you that something's going wrong.
Indeed.
And they have a way to deal with it. Not only have they told you something's wrong, but here's what you can do to fix it.
And, if you didn't have a belief or a clue beforehand, this seems like the first reasonable thing you've heard all day. So, you clamp onto it. And if down the road someone tries to question it, you're like, no, this actually makes sense to me because, well, it's filled in the gaps for this problem I've been sort of, trying to get my head around.
Yeah, I think we run into an issue when we just say it's human nature for us all to distrust each other. It makes us not actually think about what the people are getting out of this, why it's happening. Mm-hmm. Because we all fundamentally agree on a lot of the things here. Like the most pro-vaccination people around mostly agree that there is in fact something wrong with the way we're doing medicine. Like we aren't. A lot of the arguments that I've heard from some of the very, very pro-vaccination people are saying that the monetary incentives in our medical field are preventing us from giving enough people the things that they need.
Indeed.
And then you get to the other direction. They're saying, well, the fact that there is a monetary incentive for someone to give me this shot makes me not trust it.
So are you prepared to get rid of that monetary incentive?
I mean, I would like to.
Yeah. I would like to as well, actually. But if your focus is entirely somewhere else, then this seems like a non-starter in terms of a suggestion. Because, you've already, got yourself focused on something else that, is apparently the core problem. And, trying to be, I guess, extrapolated that back to the thing that's actually wrong sometimes can be tricky to, get people to focus on because, they're so wound up about, I guess, the symptoms that they're seeing and not the actual causes.
Which is why it's so nice for you to be able to have something like you would imagine this. I think this is the way that we think about even conspiracies and the way that we disagree with people now. Like, there's one pretty evil being. It's completely against us as a society and my values and beliefs, and it is literally brainwashing and taking over other people. And as soon as you can get rid of that one dude, that everything will be fine.
Yeah, the critical point of the infrastructure is suddenly taken out and everything's now fine. Yeah. But then, other folks are, a little bit more up to speed on how the world actually works. And they're like, Trump's just a symptom of the actual problems. You know that, right?
Well, it's great because you don't actually have to fundamentally challenge or change anything.
Yeah. Because, changing is hard.
It's a particularly neoliberal way of dealing with the problem.
I guess this is also one of the reasons I have always been kind of annoyed with certain levels of folks that I generally highly agree with in terms of politics who, point to a politician of choice and, if we just get this person elected, all our problems will be solved. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. So, I might, support you on some of these, particular politicians from time to time, but I'm under no illusions that this is going to be a silver bullet that takes care of all our problems here.
Huh, you don't think everything suddenly went better immediately and all our problems are gone because we've elected the right president now?
No, I'm not that silly. I know that there's a lot more complications to politics, the world, and how things actually work than, just, change the name on, on whose desk it is. So
yeah, it's because we didn't elect the right person. Everything didn't get immediately fixed, yes. And it just proves it. And because we didn't elect the right person, we have to double down on all our biases next time, so we get someone who is more like the person we want to elect. If that's possible. So yeah, that got a little depressing. A little bit. Anyway, yeah, I feel like we wound up in the weeds here a little bit, and we've been waffling on for a while anyway. So,
but I guess the one thing we can sort of pull out of all of this from where we started and where we ended up is don't put all your trust into one person.
Yeah,
because they might have a brain parasite.
But we don't know. Maybe we have brain parasites because we keep forcing people to listen to this thing that we do, which is the galaxy's favorite game show. Woo!
Hey everybody, surprise! It's the Galaxy's favorite game show. Ho ho! You probably didn't see that one coming. Or you did. Ho ho! Anyway, our various contestants here, be they infected or not, have been racking up lots of prizes here and, get their high scores and all that. There's a bit of a fist fight involved, and you know how that can get. That can get a little spicy, a little heated, a little broken bones all over. But let's get rolling here, in fact, starting off with that very fight. The first prize, you see, is the Worf effect, once again, which goes to Riker, Geordi, and Worf, who all get to show it, just how serious the problem is by getting beat up and, all that by apparently a heavily juiced elderly admiral. What do they win, Gepwin?
They win helmets. Why don't the security forces on any of these ships have helmets? Or some sort of force field hat? Anything. Like, I feel like they've had them in some of the movies. Also, I remember a design had like a siren on top and had the name on the side. That seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, they should get everyone one of those, and so when they're running down the hall, they can turn the siren on, and everyone's like, "Oh, I need to get out of the way," and they can get there faster, they can get there safer, and they maybe can take a few more punches to the head by Admiral Quinn here. So
yeah, I mean, literally, why is that not part of a uniform in lower decks yet?
So lower deck striders, if you're listening in, and put that on. Our second prize is the weight-bearing boss prize, which goes to the bluegill's mama parasite inside Zremic, because they all seem to just die or go dormant once it's dead. So yeah, that's a little silly, but I guess that works. It makes things easy. What does it win, Gepwin?
The bluegill parasites win some unionization. They need to form a worker-owned conspiracy, because then they could just spread this stuff out and delegate. They could all benefit from the takeover of the Federation instead of just the one main guy, and then it wouldn't be as much of a problem. Indeed.
And so you don't have to worry about dealing with the one in charge, and suddenly, well, I guess we don't have an organization. Instead they can fall back to the Workers' Councils. The Workers' Council's like, well, the president of the council's been killed, but the rest of us are still here. Ha-ha! And so they'll continue onward and to glory and victory and all that cool stuff. But let's get on to our final prize here, the Goa'uld-style prize. The Goa'uld. I can never pronounce that right, Gepwin.
Goa'uld.
Goa'uld.
Goa'uld. There's an apostrophe.
Yes,
Goa'uld.
But yeah, that prize goes to the rest of the bluegill parasites there for clamping onto the spinal cords like the Goa'uld in Stargate. What do they win, Gepwin?
They just get to be. This is just the crossover. Like, the Goa'uld changed what they looked like between movies and series anyway, so this is just the crossover episode. Like, the unexplored part of the galaxy is just that from way back. Everyone forgot Stargate happened. It's several hundred years to get to Star Trek. It explains some of the technology.
Well, you see, there's still World War III on Earth, and
yeah.
So that Barry Cheyenne Mountain in the Stargate, and so everyone involved is dead or left planet ages ago. And so, yeah, it just got all forgotten, but the pyramid ships are still out there, man.
Yeah, and by the time you get to the end of Stargate, every ally that they've had has died or gone into dormancy as an old race, so it explains why you don't have anyone running around. They literally blow up the Asgard home planet in one of the last episodes.
Well, I'd say that the Asgard did it themselves in that case, but it's a good episode all the same. But little silly. Anyway, that's all I got for today, Gepwin. Unless I want to give out prizes for everyone, getting their fingers all in the grubs there. So go ahead and take it away.
Yes, we need to stop being grossed out by very slightly foreign food. Stop it. Just stop. They literally would stock the Voyager kitchen by going to the Asian market and just grabbing fruit.
Yep.
They just stop this, okay? There's more food out there than chicken fingers. Anyway, thank you all for joining us on the Galaxy's favorite game show.
So that was Conspiracy.
Yeah. And we get to move on to possibly another conspiracy.
Yeah, it's a different sort of conspiracy. One where we don't know what's going on, and it doesn't get resolved until it's sort of implied later.
Yeah. We're setting up so many weird things in these last few things.
Yes.
This one gets paid off at least a little bit, but then we forget that they did this anyway.
So, remember all those space stations along the neutral zone with the Romulans that, in Balance of Terror, like the Romulans were blowing up some of them? Yeah, we should keep track of those.
Yeah, and then colonies that are scooped out of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, next episode, we get into some of the good stuff. Like, the neutral zone final episode of season 1 is one of the first, really full-on, legitimately good Next Generation episodes.
Now, I do know folks that will disagree with you, but I actually kind of like it myself, so.
Yeah, I mean, just, it's not perfect. There's some problems, but it's this is when the Romulans show up. There's that tension stuff. It's just got all the good junk in there. Mm-hmm. They're still working stuff out, definitely. But, by the end of season 1, you're like, okay, this started rough, but we're getting there.
Yes. So this is getting to a bit of, what Star Trek The Next Generation is going to be for the next few years.
I think it's easier to see looking back because you're like, oh, here's where they're planting all the good seeds.
Also, we have some kind of random folks that we thaw out of cryostasis.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I love that. I love these guys.
So suddenly we have some Philip J. Fry's running around.
Yep. It's the best. The old finance guy is just I need to go check on all of my stocks and stuff. It's currency collapsed 200 years ago, dude.
It's we don't really use it anymore because, it became worthless. We decided, maybe if we just did stuff, it would all work
I'm
out.
Sorry. Did you believe in the inevitability of American capitalism? That's cute.
So, I guess you can look up people, but don't expect the institutions to actually exist anymore. And also, we have a return of a Mark Alemo.
Yep. Yeah. Once again, playing the first appearance of an iconic alien, like he does.
Yes. This time, it's a iconic alien that's actually going to stick around for a while.
Yeah.
As opposed to, some dog aliens that are
dog dudes
that are more memorable because of how silly they are.
That he hated so much he didn't get credit in that episode. Yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah. So next time, first appearance of the new Romulans.
Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, country music comes back to life. You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and follow Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Spreader, Digital Podcast, and perhaps many more to come. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And where possible, make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on youtube.com/Gepwin and Twitter @Gepwin. You may find me, Dr. Isix, on youtube.com/Dr. Isix and Twitter @IsixLP. Music is Waveform and Mori's Principle, both by DRKRN. You can also check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. Make sure to share the experience with your friends, family, enemies, and alien overlords. If you feel you are suffering from transporter syndrome, please be aware that the next time you step off the transporter, that you, that is now, no longer exists.